Right friends, welcome back to lecture part. This is the 47th week from 16th to 22nd November. What are the highlights? Prime Minister addresses ASEAN-INDIA Summit. 13th ASEAN-INDIA Summit was held at Kuala Lumpur. And Prime Minister promises IPR policy. IPR is intellectual property rights. At the same time, Prime Minister talked about a transparent tax regime when he addressed business summit at ASEAN. Prime Minister also addressed the East Asia Summit, expressed his concern about the proliferation of terrorism. Important cabinet decisions. One of the important cabinet decision is 10% disinvestment in Coal India Limited. Government's target of disinvestment for this year is rupees 69,500 crores. CIL disinvestment is expected to accrue 20,000 crores to the coffers of the central government. 7th Pay Commission submits its report. Overall, there is increase of 23.55% in the salaries and allowances. Australian Parliament ratifies a nuclear deal with India. Achievement from Indian perspective, because India is not a signatory to Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. G20 summit was held at Antalya, Turkey. Several issues were raised by the Indian Prime Minister, basically for comprehensive convention on terrorism by the United Nations. Another important aspect is the unanimous resolution of United Nations Security Council to fight against ISIS, a historic development by ASEAN for formulation of ASEAN Economic Community on the lines of European Union. Then terrorism in a hotel in Mali claimed 27 lives. Nitish Kumar sworn in as the Chief Minister of Bihar for the 5th time, and 46th International Film Festival of India held in Goa. Right friends? Look at the first issue. Prime Minister addresses ASEAN-India Summit. This was held in Kuala Lumpur. You may ask, what is the significance of ASEAN-India Summit? ASEAN is the grouping of 10 nations formed in the year 1967. This is the grouping of 10 Southeast Asian nations with headquarters at Jakarta in Indonesia. And you may ask, what is ASEAN-India Summit? All of you are well aware, India has taken the path of liberalization in the year 1991. Liberalization means the least controls, least trade barriers and seamless flow of FDI across the countries. Keeping that in view, India announced Look East policy subsequently, and India became sectoral dialogue partner to ASEAN in the year 1992. That is the first step to become dialogue partner, and by the end of 1995, India became dialogue partner with ASEAN, and some other countries also became dialogue partners with ASEAN. And the first summit of this ASEAN-India, that is ASEAN-India Summit, for the first time was held in Phnom Penh, Cambodia in the year 2002. This is the 13th summit. So, what exactly this ASEAN-India Summit aims at? It looks at cooperation at economic level. Second is cooperation at security level, that means security cooperation. Third is cultural cooperation. So, these three are the main aspects of this ASEAN-India Summit, which first time started in the year 2002. I have already told you India became dialogue partner in the year 1995, and first time the summit was held in 2002. This is the 13th summit, and basically it aims at security cooperation, economic cooperation and cultural cooperation. And the points which were raised by the Prime Minister, and please don't forget the trade at present stood at $76 billion between ASEAN and India, ASEAN as a group of 10 countries, and ASEAN has got 6 trading partners. India is one trading partner. That means there is a free trade pact between ASEAN and India. 5 other countries which have free trade pacts with ASEAN are China, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand. Similarly, India has a free trade pact with ASEAN, and India wants to increase the trade to $100 billion by the year 2020 and $200 billion by the year 2025, and achieving 200 billion target of trade by 2025 may be Herculean task. But the Prime Minister stated that by 2025, India would like to achieve trade target of $200 billion with ASEAN. The Prime Minister also stated that e-visa facility will be granted to all the 10 ASEAN countries, and Prime Minister emphasized physical, digital and institutional connect between India and ASEAN. Prime Minister also suggested that International Solar Alliance of the countries between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, the countries fully or partially situated between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, should form International Solar Alliance. Also proposed project development fund to create manufacturing hubs in 4 countries, that is Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam. So these are the points when Prime Minister addressed this ASEAN-India summit, and the Prime Minister also addressed ASEAN Business and Investment Summit. Basically, to attract investment, to allay the fears of the investors, the Prime Minister looked at these points. First and the foremost is India will bring comprehensive national IPR policy. You may ask, what is IPR policy? IPR policy is intellectual property rights policy. Foreign investors worried about few points when they are coming to invest in India. The first point is India didn't have proper IPR policy. IPR is intellectual property rights. That means if they invent something through innovation, there is every possibility that it will be copied. India did not have proper IPR policy. So he mentioned about proper IPR policy. Second important point where the foreigners are worried about India is India did not have proper bankruptcy code. And recently Vishwanathan committee was formed and it gave its report. India is in the process of getting bankruptcy code shortly. The third point which foreign investors talk about is adversarial tax regime. The tax policy is not transparent and sometimes they are put into problems because of adversarial tax policies. So these 3 points are normally raised by the foreign investors, and out of these 3 the Prime Minister clarified the first one, that is intellectual property rights policy will be brought by this year end. Second is National Investment and Infrastructure Fund will be instituted by this year end. Prime Minister mentioned about transparent tax policy. This is very important in view of the recent disputes with Vodafone, Nokia, and he also announced more reforms in FDI sector. Government recently announced several changes in FDI sector and committed to build world-class infrastructure with the public-private partnership model. The Prime Minister also mentioned 50 cities are lined up for getting metro trains. Then government is committed to build 50 million affordable houses by the year 2022. And the mention of all these things by the Prime Minister when addressing ASEAN Business and Investment Summit is to attract the investors. Right friends, look at the next one. Prime Minister addresses the East Asia Summit at Kuala Lumpur. You may ask, what is East Asia Summit? This was established in the year 2005. This is the 10th East Asia Summit and there are 18 countries. The main purpose of this East Asia Summit is to ensure regional peace, security and prosperity. Regional peace is the main theme of this East Asia Summit. This was formed in 2005 and it is the grouping of 18 countries of Asia Pacific region. And if you want to remember, I will tell you 10 countries of ASEAN, then China, India, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, then 2 superpowers. One is the present superpower, that is United States of America, and the other country is Russia. Russia cannot be said superpower at this juncture, but it is still important if you look at the world peace as a whole. So, the 18 countries grouping of this Asia Pacific region was formed in the year 2005 with the objectives of regional peace, security and prosperity. And the Prime Minister, while addressing East Asia Summit, suggested multi-pronged approach to combat terrorism. The Prime Minister stated terrorism is no longer a peripheral problem and Prime Minister categorically stated to de-link religion from terrorism and peace is quite fundamental to the prosperous world. And as this is the grouping of regional peace, security and prosperity, Prime Minister dwelt upon the issues concerning terrorism. Right friends, if you want these 18 countries, please look into this. And this 10th East Asia Summit was held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia on 22nd November 2015. Right friends, let us go into the domestic aspects. Important cabinet decisions were taken and I would like to explain in brief. First and the foremost is 10% disinvestment in Coal India Limited. In Coal India Limited, at present the Government of India holds around 79%. Government wants to sell around 10% of the shares, and please don't forget, if government keeps 51% stake, that is disinvestment. If the government keeps 51% and sells balance shares, that is disinvestment, and government is going in for 10% sale of shares in Coal India Limited. And please don't forget, the target for disinvestment for this year is 69,500 crores, but so far only 12,000 crores were accrued to the coffers of the government, and government expected to get around 20,000 crores of rupees through the sale of shares in Coal India Limited. Second one is approved IPO for Cochin Shipyard, that is Cochin Shipyard will raise funds by issue of IPO. Third important aspect is a 3% interest subvention scheme for exporters. This will cover all the SME exporters. In addition to SME exporters, 416 other items spread over 25 sectors will also be covered. That means on the export front, they will get 3% interest subsidy. This is renamed as interest equalization scheme. Previously, it was known as interest subvention scheme. Now it is renamed as interest equalization scheme. That means for all the pre and post shipments rupee export credit, they will get 3% interest subsidy. This is applicable for 5 years from April 1, 2015. Other important aspect is this is applicable for all the SMEs as well as for 416 other items spread across 25 sectors. And why government announced 3% interest subsidy or interest subvention or interest equalization scheme, whatever you call, that will be 3% interest subsidy? Because the exports have fallen by 18% during the current financial year till date. And exports are in the negative territory for the past 11 months. For the past 11 months, exports are falling, and that is the worry for the government. This is due to the global scenario. Commodity prices have fallen across the world. Not only that, there is a global downturn in several countries, several advanced countries. Because of these reasons, government announced 3% interest subsidy on export credit, and renamed as interest equalization scheme. Please don't forget. Direct subsidy of rupees 4 rupees 50 paise per quintal to cane growers. Cane growers will get direct subsidy of rupees 450 paise per quintal or 45 rupees per ton. Previously, government announced export subsidy for export of sugar, but it is contravening the directions of World Trade Organization, and giving direct subsidy to farmers is acceptable as per the World Trade Organization norms. Now government resorted to 45 rupees per ton direct subsidy to farmers. Another important decision is rupees 8,000 crore worth railway projects were cleared, and these projects, doubling of railway tracks, important route is iron ore route from Chhattisgarh to Visakhapatnam, that is from Bailadilla iron ore mines, so as to take iron ore to the Visakhapatnam port. So for these doubling of lines, in addition to other lines, total expenditure in railway projects cleared by the cabinet is rupees 8,000 crores. And other important aspects I have given here. Post facto approval for a memorandum of understanding between India and Germany on security cooperation, and signing of tripartite agreement between India, Brazil and South Africa, that is IPSA. India, Brazil, South Africa, there is one fund for the alleviation of poverty and hunger. Cabinet cleared this, and for promotion of German as an additional language in Kendriya Vidyalayas, decision was taken, and at the same time, National Resource Facility for Biomedical Research by ICMR will be established at a cost of 338 crore rupees in the Genome Valley of Hyderabad. Right friends, look at the next one. 7th Pay Commission submits its report. Employee unions are not happy. They expected more hike, but the average hike suggested by the Pay Commission is 23.55%, and Pay Commission is headed by Justice A.K. Mathur. Please don't forget, central government employees' pays and allowances are revised once in 10 years, and it will benefit around 47 lakh employees and 52 lakh pensioners. And the chairperson is Justice A.K. Mathur. Vivek Ray and Ratin Roy are the members, and the important aspects of 7th Pay Commission are there will be overall hike of 23.55%. These recommendations will be implemented from 1st January 2016, and pay will be increased by 16%, allowances will be increased by 63%, and pensioners' pay will increase by 24%, and on an average the increase will be 23.55%. And these will be implemented from 1st January 2016, and if you look at the full financial year of 2016-17, total burden on central government will be around 1,02,000 crores of rupees for the full financial year, out of which rupees 74,000 crores on the union budget and rupees 28,000 crores through the railway budget, and this impact amounts to 0.65% of GDP. And look at the other aspects. Basic minimum pay is fixed at rupees 18,000. At the apex scale, the maximum pay is fixed at rupees 2,25,000, but Cabinet Secretary will have rupees 2,50,000. Grade pay and pay band, which were previously in existence, were abolished, and the rate of annual increment every year will be 3% per annum. And gratuity ceiling, that means what you will get after retirement, the ceiling is increased from 10 lakhs to 20 lakh rupees, and salaries will be fixed based on the fitment factor of 2.57. 52 allowances will go away. And what are the repercussions of this pay commission? The first and the foremost is, it is expected to create more demand because government employees will have more money in their pockets. That's why they are expected to spend. That's why demand will be created for consumer goods, because of which there may be positive effect on GDP. But what are the negative effects? Negative effects are, because easy money is available, there is every possibility of inflation may increase. The second important aspect is fiscal deficit may increase, or there may be pressures on government to control fiscal deficit because of additional burden of rupees 1,02,000 crores on the central exchequer. right friends? So there is positive aspect, positive impact on GDP growth, and negative aspect is inflation may increase, and one more negative aspect is government to control fiscal deficit has to struggle a lot. Right friends, Australian Parliament ratifies nuclear deal with India, and here I would like to tell you the nodal agency is NPCIL. NPCIL is Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, and now NPCIL can have agreements, commercial agreements for purchase of uranium from Australia. Now NPCIL can have commercial agreements for purchase of uranium from Australia, and one interesting point here is India is not a signatory to Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Even then, Australia Parliament agreed to supply uranium to India, and probably India became the first country to buy uranium, not being a signatory to NPT. And remaining points I have given here, Australia has around 31% of world's uranium reserves, and at present India is sourcing uranium from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan and Russia. And at present India has installed capacity of 5,780 megawatt of nuclear power, and another 4,300 megawatt is under various stages of construction. Right friends, look at the events around the world. First and the foremost events around the world is G20 summit was held in Antalya, Turkey, and you may ask what is G20? G20 was founded in the year 1999. It is the grouping of 20 countries. Developed countries are there, developing countries are there, along with European Union. Developed countries, developing countries along with European Union, total it makes 20. That is the grouping G20 formed in the year 1999, and the basic aim is to have global financial stability. To look at the issue of global financial stability, this G20 was formed, and if you look at the statistics, G20 accounts for around 85% of the world's GDP, around 75% of the global trade, and 2/3 of the population across the world. So this is important grouping looking at global financial stability, and next year it is going to be held in China. It has got no permanent secretariat, and the country which is hosting will hold the chair. Next year it will be held by China. This year it was held by Turkey, and if you look at the events, G20 pledged to step up cooperation to combat terrorism, because this G20 summit was held subsequent to the Paris attack where 129 people lost their lives. So the main focus is how to contain ISIS. First and the foremost point is globally they will cooperate to combat terrorism, and to combat terrorism, they will have better information sharing, better border management, and global aviation security also they will take steps, because recently a Russian airline was bombed, and there are several threats posed by terrorists. Under these circumstances, G20 rightly focused on terrorism, and another important aspect is United States of America and Russia agreed to fight ISIS unitedly. Previously, United States has got its own way of supporting moderate rebel groups in Syria, and Russia was supporting and is supporting at present also the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. So there is no coordinated effort. Now in G20, the outcome of G20 is United States and Russia decided to fight ISIS unitedly. Second important point is there will be better information sharing, better border management, better aviation security. So, rightly G20 focused on the important aspect of controlling terrorism across the world, and our Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised the following issues on terrorism and on economic front. If you look at the terrorism, he raised the issue of comprehensive convention on international terrorism. So far, this could not be defined. Unfortunate aspect is United Nations could not define terrorism till date. So, this comprehensive convention on international terrorism is yet to take place, and the Prime Minister discussed about this issue and raised this issue in G20 summit. And the Prime Minister categorically stated that religion should be isolated from terrorism and greater cooperation is needed among the countries to prevent radicalization. So, these are the issues raised by the Prime Minister on terrorism. And if you look at the issues raised on economic front, the Prime Minister categorically stated transparent and non-discriminatory global trading system is essential, because nowadays if you look at several trading blocks are coming. One is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, RCEP, like that several trade blocks are coming, and the Prime Minister emphasized transparent and non-discriminatory global trade should be the main focus, otherwise some countries will be at the disadvantage. The second point, please look into it. Regional trade agreements should not lead to fragmentation of the global trading system. Very important point as raised by the Prime Minister. Third point is G20 should increase the R&D in clean and renewable energies. Now, to mitigate climate change, this clean technologies, green technologies should be made available to the developing countries, and G20 should focus more on R&D of clean and renewable energies. So, this is the focus on economic front by the Prime Minister. Look at the next one, unanimous resolution of United Nations Security Council against ISIS. After the Paris attack, French sponsored counter-terrorism resolution got unanimous support. All the 15 members of United Nations Security Council voted for it. And please don't forget, the permanent members are the United Kingdom, France, United States of America, China and Russia. So, all the members, 5 permanent members and remaining 10 members of Security Council voted unanimously for the resolution of counter-terrorism as sponsored by France, and United Nations authorized countries around the world to take all necessary measures to tackle ISIS. Right friends, formation of ASEAN Economic Community, a historic development. All of you are well aware about ASEAN. ASEAN we have already discussed, it was formed in the year 1967 with Jakarta, Indonesia as the headquarters, and combined trade is around $2.6 trillion, and it is the political economic grouping of 10 Southeast Asian nations, and ASEAN 27th summit was held recently in Kuala Lumpur, and the countries, 10 countries decided to form ASEAN Economic Community on the similar lines of European Union. European Union is the grouping of 28 countries, and this ASEAN would like to move towards the grouping of European Union. That means on the similar lines they would like to have ease in intra-Asian travel. That means among the 10 nations there will be less controls or no controls of travel and ease in doing business across all the 10 countries. Then mobility of skilled labor and talent. The skilled labor or skilled workforce, skilled talent can move from anywhere to anywhere across 10 ASEAN nations, and increased economic opportunities and access to quality jobs anywhere in the 10 nations, and equitable access to global opportunities to any citizen of these 10 countries. That means easing all the barriers, and they want to develop on the lines of European Union. and all the other details are not available at this juncture. And the main focus of this year's ASEAN 27th Summit is Kuala Lumpur Declaration. The most important declaration, that is Kuala Lumpur Declaration, is moving towards ASEAN Economic Community on the lines of European Union, which will facilitate ease in trade, ease in movement of skilled labor. All these things are features of this ASEAN Economic Community. That means a single market and production base, competitive economic region, fully integrated region in the global economy. So all these things, and it is going to happen as per the schedule laid down by the ASEAN group, right? Terror attack in a hotel in Mali. You may ask, where is Mali? Mali is a West African country. It got its independence from France in the year 1960. Capital is Bamako. And please look into this picture. This is Mali. Capital is Bamako. And here one hotel by name Radisson Blu Hotel was attacked by the terrorists, and they have taken hostage of 170 people, including 22 Indians. And this African jihadist group, Al Mourabiton terrorists, claimed responsibility, and finally 27 people were killed, including 2 terrorists, when US and French commandos stormed the hotel to free the hostages. Fortunately, all the Indians were safe, and terror is spreading its tentacles across the world, whether it is a poor country, rich country, it doesn't matter. So comprehensive fight against this terrorism is essential, because poor and rich countries are being affected alike. Look at the events across the states. Nitish Kumar sworn in as the Chief Minister of Bihar for the 5th time. Nitish Kumar belongs to Janata Dal United. He kept a home portfolio. 2 sons of Lalu Prasad were made ministers. One of them, Tejashwi Yadav, became Deputy Chief Minister with important portfolio of Public Works Department and welfare of backward classes. Another son, Tej Pratap, became Minister for Health and Minor Irrigation. And the Finance Minister will be Abdul Bari Siddiqui. The International Film Festival of India was held at Goa. This International Film Festival of India for the first time was held in 1952. And please don't forget, since 2004, Goa hosted IFFI every year. So it is being held at Goa since 2004 every year. This is 46th edition of International Film Festival. The film festival was kicked off with the opening film, that is The Man Who Knew the Infinity. The film was based on the life of Srinivasa Ramanujan, based on book written by Robert Kanigal. And this film, Srinivasan Ramanujan's role was played by Dev Patel, and director is Matt Brown. This film was the opening film. Argentina film The Clan is the closing film. And please don't forget, Kingdom of Spain will be the focus country. Anil Kapoor was the chief guest for the opening ceremony. A.R. Rahman was the chief guest at the closing ceremony. International jury was headed by Shekhar Kapoor. And South American film, that is Colombia's film Embrace of the Serpent, won the prestigious Golden Peacock Award, and the prestigious UNESCO Felony Medal for the film Cinema Wala has gone to Indian filmmaker Kaushik Ganguly. Right, this film festival was held from 20th to 30th of November. Right, so with this, let us conclude this 47th week lecture. Have a nice day. Thank you.